For over 40 years, SCM
has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education,
and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions.
And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SEM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government
come together.
First thing is approval of the 2025 meeting calendar. I haven't looked at it, so that's bad. I'm like, what do you guys think of the meeting calendar?
I just wondered what the rationale for no meeting in January, July, or April. I think this is a boilerplate thing.
Yeah.
That, because Tom, we wrote notes about this before to like have it start at 5:30. And have it, to basically keep the work group meeting on the calendar, but then if it was canceled, we could cancel it. And for the months that aren't on there, I think April, I'm not sure why, but I think January is the first, and maybe the other ones clash with holidays. But I think maybe we just plan ahead and just make it the following week or something, and just put a work group meeting on for the following week, and then we can cancel it if we want to.
Yeah.
And I'm open-minded about having them, Helen wrote some note about
She did, she wrote a couple of
having
notes
them
regarding
all
the
at
calendar.
5:30. I'm open-minded about that. Last year we had talked about having the work groups at 5:30 and the big meetings at 6. Hi Helen.
Hi, Helen.
And the full meeting at 5:30, I don't care
Yes.
either way.
Work groups at 4:30 and big meeting. Yeah, that.
But if we wanna do them all at 5:30, it's okay with me, but I was just trying to be considerate of staff.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that if you wanna do them at 5:30 and you guys want to elect like a secretary or record, somebody can record and send it to our recording clerk, Heather.
Yeah.
I don't have to be here for all of those.
Yeah.
If you're doing a work group, so.
Yeah.
That's another way to handle it.
Yeah. For the work groups at 4:30?
Yeah, so
Well, I think Karen has a conflict now
right,
also.
yeah.
So that's why so I'm open-minded about 5:30 for all of them or 4:30 and 5:30, but.
Susan, if you were talking about me as the Karen and I said that, I don't know what my schedule will be in 2025, so anything that you guys decide is fine with me, I'll be there.
What is the expectation of the work group versus the committee? Because I'm on the committee, so what I would say is, I have to take time off from work to get here at 4:30. So I don't have to be at the work group meetings, I could be at just the 4, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't matter, that's, an hour 4 times a.
Well, we also were thinking of doing the full committees every other month. And the work, alternating between the full committee, because what we also found is that.
Speak up, please.
Oh, right, we were finding that if we had, this was my concern last year, that if we had the open space committee every quarter, if we missed one of those full committees, it's a half year.
Exactly.
So, if we had it every other, we did it work group and then the next time we had the full committee, because we kind of lost the cohesion of the group.
I would agree.
It's easier to remember every other month than it is one, I don't know when the.
Right,
So this-
I'm always asking Sue, I was like,
so this does not do every other month, this does every 2 months.
Every third, yeah.
Every third, so if you're saying if we want a regular open space meeting every month, we have to adjust this.
Every
Because
other month.
every other month, so we would say March, April, May. Yeah.
You guys should come to some consensus before we start.
Let me ask a question about
Yeah.
that. So let's say we potentially wanna have it alternate, work group, committee. What if we decided we needed like another work group meeting? Let's say we're working on the Arboretum before we brought it to the full committee or something like that. Cause I don't wanna waste people's time with a full committee meeting if we don't have anything to do. We might need a work group meeting instead. Is it easy enough to just transfer it to a work group meeting?
Well, you have to notice
Is it easier to transfer from a committee meeting to a work
You have
group
to
or a work
notice
group
it.
to a committee?
Either way, it would be a special meeting because
Yeah.
you're changing it. It's not
So-
hard.
so let me-
Okay, that was
Yeah,
just.
So
it's
can I
good,
just
yeah.
add, so we're saying right now that 4 meetings of the full committee is not enough next year, is what I'm,
So
Yeah.
that if I'm hearing you, February would be a full group meeting. You'd add February in here. I mean, I'm sorry, you'd add January in, correct? Were you talking about adding January in? Cause right now there's not a January on the calendar. I thought that's what I heard.
Yeah, I was thinking January would be a work group meeting.
Right. So February would be your first committee meeting. March would be a work group.
Are you dyslexic?
April would be a committee meeting and so forth. Then you have to decide if you take a meeting off during the summer. Typically, most of the committees do due to vacations and such.
If we did that, then there'd be at least 5, we could have the extra work group and then there'd be 5. If we took a time off in the summer, that would be a full committee off,
Yeah, I would recommend taking the committee meeting off,
July.
however the calendar falls, whatever that second month is taking that one off
Yeah.
as the committee meeting
Yeah.
and sticking with the work groups.
Yeah.
Cause not much happens during the summer, right, anyways, so.
So June, so would you meet in July or cancel July?
Let's see, so
I
this.
think we'd cancel July, cause that would be a committee meeting based on redoing the schedule.
No, based on the schedule, it would be up. Oh. You're right, right, that would be a work group. So then August, so you'd go June to September, Marjorie, between meetings, and then December.
Yeah, June would be committee meeting, July would be work group, August would be off, right? September,
August would be off.
August would be off.
Okay.
'Cause
Oh,
that-
wait,
that
so
would be the
July-
committee meeting, so that's when we were just talking about taking that one in the summer off.
So July would be, I'm sorry.
July would be work group because June would be if you follow.
I just wanna point out that July would be July 3rd, I believe, right? Or no, is it? Check it out.
Well, that's why I was thinking,
You
it's
don't
not
have
on there,
that.
that's why I was thinking we could schedule it like a week later.
Yeah, no, it would be July 2nd.
Oh, July
So it's
2nd,
not- So
okay.
that it's not a town conflict.
So that's a regular committee. And then you take August off. And then September would be committee, work group committee, is that right?
Yes.
can somebody read through those?
So
Yeah,
January 8th,
Well, I was gonna ask Tom too, cause
oh,
he's our staff, so he's the one who's gonna make this official.
Let me confirm the January date.
Well, it's the 8th.
Alright, January 8th is a work group meeting.
Yeah.
February 5th is a full group meeting, committee.
Yeah.
March 5th is work group.
Yeah.
April,
2nd.
April 2nd is committee.
Yeah.
May 7th is work group. June 4th is committee.
Yeah.
July 2nd is work group.
Yeah.
August is deleted.
Yeah.
September 3rd is committee.
Okay.
October, I gotta find the October date.
First. Yom Kippur is the next day, I don't know if
October
it,
1st.
I don't know if Yom
It begins
Kippur
at
starts
sundown.
of the 1st or the 2nd, sometimes, so then you can't
Yeah, we
really
should
have
make
it
it the
that night.
following week.
So the 8th,
would be in work.
circle that one. October 8th would be a work group meeting.
Yeah.
November 5th. Wait, did I just get off the space? Hold
No,
on.
you're right, you're good.
Yeah, November 5th is committee. You'll have to set your calendar at that meeting. And December 3rd would be work group.
Yeah. Okay.
That gives you 6 and 5.
Okay,
So
so
if we do miss a meeting, then it's only 4 months instead of 6 months.
Yeah.
so I'd like to stick with personally the 5:30, I think, just the 4:30.
To be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't normally go to all the work group meetings, but the regular meetings should be 5:30, just cause 4:30 is a weird time. So if somebody here can make the decision on the work group for 4:30, otherwise, where do you think you'll get the most attendance?
I'm okay either way. You know, I'd like to make the work group meetings as available as possible to anyone who wants to attend. So it's not a problem with me to put them all at 5:30. So maybe we should just do that just for consistency, and then if we need to swap a meeting or something, it'd be.
Yeah, and the only thing is Tom, he's not normally here at 5:30, so are you willing to do the committee meetings?
For sure, yeah.
Okay,
For
so the
those-
work groups, no, you wouldn't be required at.
I wouldn't have to, yeah, I wouldn't, unless it's a special need, like this, for instance, this is I have 3 night meetings this week.
No, I know, it's not
just the first
fair.
week of the month tends to be
It is,
Yeah.
it's
a little hectic.
awful.
Would you, I was just gonna throw, is 5 better? Is 5 an option?
that would be,
Yeah, cause I
Problematic.
could probably flex enough that I wouldn't,
So let's just do
half an hour.
5
Okay,
on all.
good.
Alright,
Wow.
You know what?
Sold. Okay, 5:00.
Those are those executive.
That's why I make so much money here.
And then the other thing, if the work group wants to meet on Zoom, do we need staff support for that though? That's the only glitch.
we can figure that part out.
Okay.
We can figure it out, it's not.
Okay, I didn't wanna create a
All of us
different
have
problem.
experience working Zoom. We
Oh,
can-
yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
yeah.
Is the
No,
recording,
definitely.
the recording be delegated?
That could be, yeah, Zoom, it's just saving.
Okay,
Saving
all right,
work.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for a motion,
I
right?
move that we accept the revised schedule for 2025 to start at 5:00 with alternating work group and committee meetings with July off.
August off.
August off, sorry, August.
Pretty sharp today.
Second,
So would somebody second that?
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
On the phone, are you saying aye?
Thank you.
Yes, aye.
Okay. Helen, are you an aye? Just say aye. I think we lost
think
Helen.
I think she did. I think it was,
Okay.
it was Karen first, then Helen.
So,
Okay.
and so Tom will get this out corrected in the next couple of days, so we know that we've got it in a schedule and we won't miss the January meeting.
Yes.
Okay? Okay, so the next item is the big item, right? So this is on the property, the 0.36 acre non-conforming lot / open, on the open space list for the corner of Owensbrook. And this is where you guys are supposed to write up your thing. Just so you know, I did ask for our agenda if it's supposed to be on there next Monday. I did ask to make sure all referrals are together, so the board can reread everything from every board before they have to make any decisions. Yeah, and you have the questionnaire, I don't know what happened to the questionnaire.
It's in the packet.
Oh, sorry.
It's all.
I'm sorry. As you can tell, I'm a little behind and I guessed in the
Tom,
room
is
to.
this, I didn't look back at the list of attachments, but do you consider this complete related to the stuff that we talked about that should be attached?
Yes, the only thing that following back.
Hello, I'm back.
Oh,
Hi Helen, we just started talking about the disposition data form.
Okay, so you've settled on the calendar.
Yes.
An updated calendar will be emailed out to everyone, and most of the changes that you recommended were adopted, if not more.
Okay, I didn't see the word draft, printed across it, and it was concerning me. But you say that you did have a chance to go over those points. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
revised it.
Are you voting on it today?
We already did.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay.
We're meeting every month at
Not a
5:00.
vote.
Except for.
Every month? At
Yeah.
5:00?
Not August.
Unless otherwise noted.
Right, alternating between work group and committee.
Okay,
except for August.
everybody voted for that?
Yes.
Now, how many people are voting today?
We thought you
Who's there?
voted.
I don't even know who's there.
Okay, Wendy's here, Susan's here, Aaron's here, Marjorie's here, Karen's on the phone, and we have public, Philip Henning is in attendance. Henning.
Thank you.
Henning? Sorry, Phil. Is it
Thank
Phil?
you.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Helen,
Phil.
we thought you voted. We thought we heard a yes from you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I was not sure of everything I was hearing, so it's been a very difficult communication, like it keeps cutting out. So anyway, go ahead, I'm listening.
Helen, Susan had asked me if everything from the previous work groups meeting packet development was included in the attachments that were emailed out in the open space agenda packet. And what I was saying was the only thing that's not included in my notes, Susan had asked me about the assessment, to speak with the assessor regarding the assessment of the property. And what I was told, what I was just about to say is what I was told was, find my email here. It would, the assessed property would be the revision in taxes, if it were merged, if the parcel we're talking about is merged with the potential buyer's parcel, the abutting neighbor's parcel, the tax gain to the town would be about $50 at most, because it's gonna be classified as, it's gonna be valued as excess land. And as long as it is merged, that property owner in the excess land is valued at $4,200 per acre. But she said it's $50 would be the additional taxes he would pay on it. That's a question you asked.
I don't know why the discussion has gone to the cost of something or other. It's not clear to me.
Helen, I asked Tom if he had provided all the attachments in this work group packet, or if there was anything missing. And that's why Tom was addressing the tax implications. And then the other thing was, there was some, like a letter of interest from the neighbor that was also kind of referred to in the data form, and I don't know if, I didn't see that, and I didn't know if the letter that Tom Fitzgerald was referring to at the last meeting was the letter that was attached to the Board of Selectmen packet in August. Or what letter he's referring to.
It was mentioned it said in today's packet that a letter was attached, and there's no letter there in today's packet either.
What letter are we talking about? I'm not sure which letter.
The letter, because it came up at the work group meeting, how did this all transpire? And Tom Fitzgerald said the landowner sent a letter to the town.
Well, and that, so that was a
And
question.
that was mentioned in today's packet, but the letter is not there.
Right on 21 and 22.
Am I correct or not?
That's correct. I'm just wondering if it was the one that was in the Board of Selectmen packet on August 12th. If it is, we've seen that letter. If it isn't, we're missing that letter.
Okay, thank you.
I don't remember any letter from the buyer?
Yeah,
Oh, what was the date did you just say?
the August 12th Board of Selectmen packet.
That's the letter from.
That was
It was just
the
a quick
originating.
email, wasn't it?
It was a quick email.
It wasn't
Yeah,
like a
I don't know
letter.
I don't know what we're referring to. That's the only thing I could think of.
Okay. Yeah, that was started.
The Mr. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mispronounce your name, Phil.
Yep.
Phil had reached out to the town manager, and the town manager replied to him, and if it's okay, I'll just read some of that from the informational email. Phil had asked how the proposed sale was initiated, and the town manager replied that the property owner of a single-family residence adjacent to the parcel reached out to the planning department / town manager's office.
Tom, could you please slow down just a little bit, please?
Sure thing. The town manager let one of the abutting neighbors know, the abutting neighbor questioned how the sale was initiated. The town manager replied that the property owner of the other abutting residents adjacent to the parcel reached out to the planning department and town manager's office. It doesn't say how he reached out. I don't know the
Tom
answer to that.
Fitzgerald said there was a letter at the last meeting.
I thought they reached out to George, and George said he would have to go through the town manager, which is how he was referred to the town manager. So I believe it was an email or a phone call, but it went to George. That's where, and George sent him to Mark.
In the only email that's attached to the August meeting, so none of the request, I've never seen a written request from the guy, the person. All we saw on the August 7th was an email from the neighbor saying, I am writing this email to confirm the agreed upon purchase price of the plot of land. That was the first thing that we saw at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, just saying, Tom
Was that
Fitzgerald
Aaron
said there was a
speaking?
letter
No, that's Wendy.
at the last meeting.
He
Oh,
said,
Wednesday.
He said
Wendy.
there was a letter that the landowner
So there must have
sent
been
a letter
correspondence
inquiring.
somehow.
Or it might have all been verbal,
George, and
which
George
is
referred him to Mark,
not
because
really,
it's not
you
a
can't
plan.
follow verbal. And that was when I'm gonna refer to Phil here. Phil asked the questions, because those questions have come up in other meetings. And in the comments, it was just said that the neighbor reached out to the town. That was what I was told when I questioned the process. The other thing that I was told is, well, I don't wanna keep babbling on my side of this, but I mean, I don't really know what the direction, what are we trying to get the letter?
I was
and
just
the-
trying to get I was just trying to get squared away what is gonna be sent to the Board of Selectmen on
Okay,
Monday.
okay.
Cause we had talked last time about all the attachments,
Yes,
which the
I-
stuff from the different commissions are here.
You have all that, that's all, like, did we get the legal information?
Well, that's the other thing, is like, is it okay to sell it to just one restricted person?
I
Is
asked that
legal?
question and
So that's unresolved. The tax thing has been resolved, and the letter of inquiry from the landowner is also unresolved. So 2 things out of 3, I
so
think
are those things, I mean, we wanna, the question that I always had, which you guys asked, was to the town attorney, and I don't have an answer, is can anyone just call the town and ask to buy a property?
Yes.
And
they can,
You
sure,
can.
you can
Well,
do
well,
it.
whether,
Anybody can ask.
okay, you can ask, so but that was my question, is because again, I've used this example, there's a lot for sale next to my house and my neighbor is on the other side. And I don't know that they're selling it to my neighbor and they may put up a dog pen or a swing set or something like that. I might be upset about that and I would like to have known that I had the same opportunity. What I was told in response was, once the sign goes up, anybody could make an offer on that land.
Does everyone know that?
Oh, really?
So that was what
Wait, just a moment. Go back and say that, once the sign goes up, something?
I guess the point of the sign being on the property, and I don't know any of this, indicates that the lot is open for sale. You don't know any of this.
You mean to tell me
I would
there
assume it's
is
just
a
a
lot,
marketing
there's a
thing. I thought you
sign
said
up on the
because we're talking about
mouth
last
of the
eight, you
sign?
posted online.
No, the sign was for the public hearing, Helen.
To say there was a public hearing on the
Thank you.
sale of that lot,
Thank you.
right? Which I
Thank you.
guess
Thank
if
you.
you circled around could mean if somebody was interested in that, they could call.
I thought the public hearing was to make comments on whether you have any
Yeah,
issue
it's
with
not
the
to
sale.
solicit additional
It's not
offers.
to put the land up for auction.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Right,
So it's just to speak whether or not the town should sell. That-
correct.
okay.
Well, that was my understanding.
That was my.
It would be good
It's
if-
not an auction, it's not an auction sign, it's not.
Yeah, that makes.
If we do a tax sale, there'll be an auction sign at those properties.
But we could call the town manager if we wanted to ask the questions. I mean, if you're trying to get this letter done tonight and our meeting is on Monday night, and you, if these are items that you're going to include in the letter, then how are we going to write the letter?
Just my 2 cents, I think you have a pretty good sense of where you guys wanna go with this. I don't know that
Yeah.
you need those other
Yeah,
documents.
I think those documents need to come to us to make a decision.
Right.
So So that's fine, but you guys should focus on the reasons why you don't want that piece of property
from
Correct.
from the
From
open
this
space
perspective.
perspective. I'm thinking about it from the bigger, the global perspective.
Right. And so at the work group meeting, we talked about the main reasons why we're not in favor of the sale at this time. And it was the rationale, the price, the restricted nature of it, and, not considering, what I consider a number of viable alternatives would be the short list that we scribbled last time. And, people can, I don't know if you wanna weigh in on planning, if you said you were gonna
I'm
like
not voting
abstain
because
anyway.
I voted for planning and it's
Right.
clear that we voted for it, whether we had a specific, we were asked to do our part, which we did, based on what information we had. So I don't feel like I can vote again, or if I vote, I'm gonna vote against it, cause I think I have to be consistent with my first vote.
Yeah.
And I don't
That's
have,
fine,
I
yeah.
personally don't have an issue with the plot being sold, for many reasons. However, I will say that I am a little perplexed about the fact that it looked like this was almost kind of a done deal or it had been decided when there hasn't been a public hearing. Like that's what bothers me, it's the process. And so there shouldn't have been any I don't know. Anyway, that's
I was
a
gonna
problem.
say, you guys voted on based on the P O C D, would
Correct.
seem to how you voted on it, not on any, you got it assuming, and I know George even said that in your meeting, don't think about 21-8, just think of it as the 8-24 sale of land by the town doesn't meet your planning documentation.
Right.
And that's all you guys considered. He wouldn't let you introduce anything else, so that was all.
Well, no, not really, I mean, I think, cause it was a while ago now,
I
I'd have to go
remember it
back.
myself.
Yeah, you were there,
I
right?
was
Yeah.
there, so that's why I said that.
So I think, yes, because there were so many people there, and what we couldn't do when people wanted to make public comment, it was not a public hearing, we were not taking public comment. People tried to make public comment. But at that point, we were doing the 824, you're absolutely right. But people did bring up the fact that, did it connect with anything else? There were discussions. We have a member on the board that I believe was there for that vote, that's also on the Conservation Commission, which I saw voted unanimously. I'm like, and we did too, so I don't know.
And I was kind of surprised by that since he's on the pollinator pathway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that didn't.
It is connected that way.
Right, so we did talk about that and about how we didn't, it was consistent with some of what had been discussed in the P O C D.
Okay, so you guys, we have to write the letter for this group, right, open space, as to why what you don't wanna sell the land for open space reasons, basically. I mean, if there's other reasons you're allowed, process.
I think process
Yeah.
reasons is one of the main
Well,
ones.
but I guess technically, other than the process that happened before it came to us, which is I'm worrying about, right?
Yeah.
That's, I'll tell you right now, the fact that it's open space isn't my concern, it's how it was offered to one person and how did that happen and is that allowed? And the other piece of that is making sure that if that is allowed, that there's some sort of restriction on what can be done with that property.
Yeah.
And I'm told we're getting that for Monday night because we've all said that we don't want the current homeowner to be able to tear down his house and put up a mansion. So that we would like to see sort of limitations on what can happen to the property.
In our thing to you, we put some of those limitations on because we
Okay.
had that discussion because of the
Yeah, you-
setbacks and stuff. There wasn't a way to create, cause people had concerns about that. Like, are they gonna put something there? And by the way the property sits and with the setbacks, there wouldn't have been an opportunity to do it on that piece. But we put in there, I think, and sent that to the Board of Selectmen,
Okay, I think
that
that's
there was some tag we put on that the owner couldn't, I don't remember what it is, cause like I said, it was months and months ago.
It said the commission further recommended that the purchaser combine the parcel to legal deed and lot line revision with the adjoining parcel to ensure no future subdivision is permitted.
But that's just that, that's not putting up an ADU or
That's the note.
yeah,
Right.
that's
Well, but anybody could put up an AD,
well,
whether or not, he could do that now on his property. without the expansion.
But I'm told there could be covenants, if that's the right term, on the land that we could ask for and that we could do at the board level if people wanna vote for it. I don't know what the going rate is of this.
Well,
So,
people were concerned about that, Mark.
yeah, we all were, that's one of the biggest concerns.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Right, I just wanna say that.
Okay, can I come in for just a minute?
Please.
May I enter the conversation?
Yes.
Erin, you just said that you were most concerned about the process. Okay, we can say that this is a generalization for all of us. This is, even this discussion is taking place because of the process. And I'd like to make a few points on that. Number one, no one seems to be aware of this, but Chief Justice Barber, the he was head of the Supreme Court here in Connecticut. I have the case all printed out actually off of the record, but unfortunately I don't have it here with me, but I probably under stress could find it from here somehow. But in that judgment, he specifically said, and this was the most considered at the time, the most important part of his judgment, and it said something to this effect: it is not the purpose of a public agency, Board of Selection, Planning Commission, anybody, to enrich a property owner. And that's exactly what this kind of transfer does. So don't misunderstand. That exactly is what's happening. Such a sale, and you're talking about, can you do that, and are you supposed to do that? No, the Supreme Court has already said that. You're not supposed to do that. So that's my comments there. I still have not gotten an answer to my question, and I would like to pose it one more time, please. Bear with me. In the packet today, we were supposed to receive all pertinent information concerning this entire issue. One of the things that I noticed wasn't in here was the letter from the property owner asking to purchase this piece. Does such a letter exist? That is my question first.
We don't know.
Does such a letter exist? Wendy, maybe you can answer that for me.
I have asked how this originated. And I was told, I've asked recently because of the concerns, and I was told that the neighbor reached out to the town. That's all I know. I don't believe it was a letter, and if it is, we have not seen it. And if that's something we wanna see or we want documented, then we should ask the town manager to document how this came about. Right?
You're suggesting that I do that?
I'm suggesting that it's something, the output from this meeting, if this is planned for my next agenda, there's still gaps in knowledge that I would ask for, or I will push off the agenda item if I don't have all this information, or table it. So if you.
All right, you answered my question.
But are you guys saying we were told we'd get this letter?
You don't know how.
Tom Fitzgerald said at the last meeting that there was a letter from the landowner.
Okay.
And so I wrote to him afterwards to say, can you send the letter, because I wanted to attach it to my form.
Yeah.
I didn't get a response, and so that's why I'm just trying to deal with the loose ends about the taxes, the letter, the legal issue about only making it available to one person. I think there's some other kind of remaining issues related to like zoning and subdivision, because planning said no future subdivision is permitted, but I mean, just to be clear, that does not prevent tearing down the current house and putting up a McMansion, for example, which I'm not even saying I'm against. I just think we should be honest about what's allowed on the property. You know, if we say no building on the land that the landowner is getting, does that mean that they're restricted from having an ADU because they probably don't have room on their current lot for an ADU? So is that a disadvantage that they're incurring that they may be unaware of? If we're changing our zoning to have much smaller lots, could this be a spot for a small house? And if so, why isn't the town gonna be in control of that instead of giving this property to a landowner? You know, why didn't we look at other alternatives? And why are we telling the public that nothing's gonna change when we sell this property to the neighbor? Because that's a completely irrational thing to say. Nothing's probably gonna change. Of course, there's no way to say that if you sell something to a
Okay.
private person. They have full rights as a private landowner.
And so again, I don't have it yet. I was told in my agenda prep that I would get something that the attorney was working on that would restrict what could be done on that lot. But I also hear that with the upcoming zoning changes, it would have to exclude any new zoning changes if there was this covenant that all of a sudden if zoning approves ADUs as of right, or you can build on a 1.1 acre lot, they can't do that because they agreed to this, right? So those are things I was told we would have for Monday if we continue to have this on the agenda.
And another concern was, were the other adjacent property owners contacted or asked, is it, you know, is this open to anybody in town to be able to, I mean, is this an open process rather than, you know, one neighbor asks, you know, can I buy the lot? That doesn't seem quite.
That's my biggest, I agree, cause that to me was the biggest question. Because if
The fact that
Phil's
they
lot,
negotiated before getting any approval, I still don't understand that,
No, that
but,
doesn't.
no, I agree.
Well,
I mean, as the other abutting landowner,
yeah,
what if I offered $16,000?
I know,
That's.
Right, no.
Somebody already offered 15,001.
somebody offered 50, didn't they?
Really?
Well, that's the other thing, how can they offer that when what it's assessed at isn't even, that's the other thing, how did they come up with that amount?
The whole
What was
process
that, Aaron?
is.
Aaron,
I don't
didn't hear.
understand how
did
they came up,
with what?
how they came up with the amount of 15,000 when that's not what it's assessed at. It should be selling
They
for.
said that it was offered.
No, but that's what I'm saying, how can the town offer if it was assessed at, they should be selling, I mean, if they wanna go a little under it, but that's really under.
No, no, what I meant was, I was to understand from all of the rhetoric that the owner of the property next to it offered the amount of 15,000. And the town obviously chose to take that figure. And I don't know, there's not to be any negotiation or, but that was they just accepted it, and it's supposed to be a test case. So it's all very convoluted.
And who negotiated?
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we're gonna be able to solve all this
No, but
in
I
this
am
meeting.
going, I
Those are questions that
I
they
am
could-
pursuing those questions, I'm actually texting with
Right.
Mark right now. And again, like I said, his portrayal to me was the sign being up was, I don't know what the sign said.
It says there's gonna be a public
They
hearing.
said that it's gonna be a public hearing. The original date was in September, it got pushed back.
Right,
And it's basically notice of public hearing with regard to the disposition of this property.
what I'm being
If
told,
someone
and
needs a picture of it, I need to run to my car.
that's okay, but it basically, the point Mark's conveying is, and what he told me the other day, is the sign indicates that it's for sale. I don't question me, and that if somebody else is interested in purchasing the parcel, that they should have reached out to the town. So I guess technically you could send us an email tomorrow and say you wanna buy it for 15,000. No, I'm not trying to be
I don't
flippant
think you
about it,
even have to have a price.
I'm like
But
frustrated too.
I mean, the point is, number one, until the sign went up, I had no idea that there was a
That's
piece
right.
of property abutting mine that was for sale from the town, frankly.
Well, it
and-
wasn't.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
I
it
mean,
wasn't for sale.
Well, I guess it
mean,
wasn't because
technically.
the sign solely says a public
Yeah.
hearing with regard to the disposition of this piece of property. And that's all it says, and it
Yeah.
talks about the 0.36 acres, I think, and whatever it is.
Yeah.
And some sites, some regulations, and I forget, maybe even the 21.8 or whatever it is. But that's all it says, that there's a public hearing with regard to the disposition, doesn't talk at all beyond what does that mean? Who else can be involved in the purchasing process? How is, how do you go about that? Is it first thing I thought of was, is this an auction? Is it gonna be,
Right.
the gavel's gonna come down and
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
gonna bid and what are,
Yeah,
and then the question is, what do they do with that land? What can they do with it? What's permitted, what's not?
Yeah.
It's restricted, it's R15. There's a ton of exemptions that you can put in, that you can do a bunch of stuff on that property.
That's exactly what
exactly
I'm
what
trying to
you're
bring up.
Yeah, I don't know, could you really build on it with the setback, with the town
You
setbacks?
can't, that's what you're, I
But
mean,
you
we
can
asked
get
There's not a ton of
variances.
stuff, I mean,
You
there's
can get
restrictions.
variances for those things, and
But
if the
there's still
zoning size is
setbacks.
changed, the new zoning proposed of 8,000 square feet, which is 0.2 acres.
Yeah, I looked that up.
So, and if you judge, have the setbacks and stuff like that, you could definitely put something on that property. And my whole point is not that I don't want this property to be built on or have nothing done with it or whatever. The point is, whatever we do with this property should benefit the public. That's the point.
So, getting back to what,
I can't, Wendy?
Yeah.
Wendy?
Yeah.
This is, you can't see my waving, so I'm sorry.
I hear you.
I felt it.
She needs a bell.
I'm so sorry to be rude and interrupt.
No, please, you're
But,
not.
I was wondering if I could just propose, something in the meeting and then go from there. I would like to propose that the, open space, well, before I say what I propose, I'll just preface it first. This conversation, as you can see for yourselves, says that there is so much that to be discussed in this matter and so much confusion. It can go on ad infinitum, but I propose now that the Open Space Committee go ahead and send the form as part of our response to the Board of Selectmen. And if you agree, everyone there, whoever's there, if you want to, we can just list not all of the things that we've talked about, because we'd be here all night listing how much is questionable here. But if we can list half a dozen valid of those, and then send it on to the Board of Selectmen and see where it goes. I mean, that is the only thing we can really accomplish at this point.
I totally agree, Helen. And guess what? I just came up with exactly a half a dozen things.
Can I add something too?
Yeah.
Because I may not be here when you finish it and I feel it, I don't wanna walk out in the middle of this. I think you should write, the open space recommendations, the open questions. You're addressing this to the Board of Selectmen, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a, and I think you should, in your letter, say that, you're referring, this is why you don't wanna do it, whatever, do it. But you also feel the need to address these questions, right? That puts it on our board to pay attention to it and do something about it.
Yeah.
Which I hope to, because I have the same questions, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just because it's open space isn't, I'm a pollinator pathway, things like that, that's not my beef with this. My beef is just how did it come about?
So Wendy, when you referred it to planning, did you guys have the questions then?
So I have to go back and watch the meeting. It was put on our agenda to refer it to you guys. And my first initial question on the whole thing was, is this open space? And I was told it really was an open space.
Right, okay.
And so I went ahead and said, okay, in hindsight, I've said I would have done more due diligence, but I
Right,
you know.
you trusted what
And
information.
so, and then the open parcel, and that's when we reverted back to 21-8, and I don't care if anybody says the order of it, we did follow 21-8, so I'm not gonna go there. But there are still open questions, and if it's gonna come to a vote, those questions are gonna be brought up. And if they're not answerable, I'm just gonna say, I don't plan to, unless there's new information, I don't see voting in favor, or at least delaying it till we get the answers, because I don't see the rush in the sale. It's the rushes, you guys have to have this done by 60 days, which is by this week. That's it.
Right.
Did I repeat everything Helen said and just reiterate them? So sorry.
Well, it's not gonna get mowed till next April, so.
But that's how I
can guarantee that.
Okay, so anyway, and that's what you're doing anyway, so I guess whatever, I'll just stop.
I didn't, so Wendy suggested 2 categories of stuff, which I forgot what the 2 categories were. But here are the half dozen things that I just wrote down. I just wrote a simple thing, because I have the feeling that we're kind of negative on this. So at the December 4th meeting, the Open Space Committee voted against disposition of town-owned open space, we can put in the details, for the following reasons. 1, the rationale. 2, the price. 3, the legality and restricted nature of the sale. 4, the lack of consideration of town databases and viable alternatives, the potential for this property to contribute to overall town goals, and unanswered questions. But I can edit any of that.
Multiple unanswered questions.
That's a long 4.
It's a long-
Ran out of room on my line.
Can I see that, cause I,
So,
Feel free.
as long as you're typing it.
Yeah, I got it typed. And then, we could put more details, but whatever. I mean, this just kind
so
of
let me
covers
just
it.
ask you this question though.
Yeah.
If all those things were answered in a way that was fair and equitable, would that be the reason you would, is it,
Ultimately, the
Those are
Board
the-
of Selectmen
I think the
has
first one, the
decision.
rationale, I don't find the rationale compelling.
no, okay, that, but I'm just saying like all all the stuff like that, the fairness and stuff like that, I feel like that's, you're looking,
That's a big one.
it's the biggest one, but if you're talking about the open space value, I mean, I think you're gonna be talking about the value of preserving that open space. That should be part of your rationale, which I don't know if I agree with, but that's coming from you guys. So you need to make that case.
Well, I think it goes to not only, because this has been cited as a test case. How we handle this will determine how we handle the others.
Well, that's the process. That's
Yes,
that's
and that's
the
the
process part.
process.
I think that's
Yeah.
different than the rationale. We can feel differently about the rationale for
Yeah,
selling.
but
But as I said in the letter from conservation, it's not just this one particular
Agreed.
spot. We gotta look at all of them together, because collectively they might have more value than they have individually, from a habitat point of view.
Okay.
And also, we have to look at how they're managed. I mean, the management issue is one of the biggest concerns, because that goes towards the expense for the town. So we have to have a more holistic approach to these things, rather than, someone offered us $15,000. Let's take it. I mean, that's not a plan, that's not a process, that's not the deliberative process we should need to be going through.
And I agree, and if there are these other properties, my recommendation would be to put it all together and make,
Yes.
what is the process for each of these proproperties, what are these properties?
Collectively.
And I said this when we sold that first piece of
The
open
point is
space.
why are we, I think the rationale is, why are we selling our public land? Even if it was just like a piece of junk thing, like, what's the real reason for selling it? 'Cause you can't get it back, right? So is there some public value now or in the future? Which is why I keep on bringing up, there's all kinds of stuff in the news about how these little pieces are so important to neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff. Could it be a spot for a little house? Could it be a little renewable energy thing? Could it be a little orchard? It's right near the school. Could it be any of this other stuff? And losing that current or future opportunity, is that worth, just like getting it off the mowing list? And if the mowing list is an issue, maybe there's another solution to the mowing, right? It's like, I think we need to go to the very first point and kind of think about, why are we doing this? And then there's all these other issues, but the really first question is why? And if the why is not compelling, then the rest of it doesn't really matter.
Okay, can I step in, please? I think that's the strongest suit there. You know, I must sound like a broken record, but from the very beginning, I've always said something is wrong with this because it does not speak honestly to protecting the public trust. It's not an event or a sale that would really profit the public. Intent for that land to be open space as it was. In those days, that's what our open space plan was 20% given for the development. And that was exactly what this was, a leftover piece from that. And that's why it's open space in my thinking. And that's why I would like to answer the Board of Selectmen now as factually as we can. If town staff is honest in their intent to have this be a test case, our responsibility is to respond to that. Why are we saying that we don't approve and state our case? And that is where the conversation should be right now.
What do people think about my list?
I mean, it's hard to remember. I can't.
Okay, the first one, I just expanded a little bit more. The rationale for selling the land is not compelling. The price, what should I say? The price.
Well, it's not even fair market value.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know that you
can't
guys
adjust
really-
that. That's, oh, good.
No, I was just gonna say,
can't-
I don't know that you guys, that's a Board of Selectmen on price.
That's
You-
true.
you should-
Yeah, that's a good
your
Yeah.
your argument shouldn't be about the price of the land.
That's true, that's, I think you're
Well, I
right.
think the
All
price
of our open
is, I
space.
think the price is a relevant thing. It's part of our data disposition thing. What's the price?
So the-
What's the money gonna be used for?
I mean, ultimately, the Board of
Well, the
Selectmen is the
money-
one that
the-
makes a decision based on all the input from all the
Ins-
different groups.
Instead of saying price, can you reword it more the value?
There you go,
Yes,
that might
because
be.
there can be other values other than price.
Right.
You could say the value to the
To
public.
price, or
The value
value-
to the public.
Value to the public, yeah.
I mean,
I think you bring up a good point, what's your purview, yeah, and if you
Well,
get to, yeah.
that, but you don't wanna water down your, I mean,
Yeah.
you feel, you have a good argument
Yeah.
coming from the perspective that you have, I don't know if I think you're watering it down, you talk about price, but
Mm-hmm. I'll say the value to the public. That's a
Because that
multifaceted
can be
Yes.
long term,
aspect.
if the town decides to do something different with it, put low income housing on it, that's a value to the town.
and yeah.
I'm just saying, maybe.
Little tiny houses for everybody.
Ultimately, if the town sells any land, the proceeds the net proceeds of the sale go to the town's open space maintenance fund, so
It
that's why
says it should, it doesn't say
I
shall.
believe it's supposed to.
Yeah, it says it. I read that too.
So what is it, so?
So that's why I don't know that
So
price.
you're giving up 15 grand
I
or
don't,
more.
as I say, I don't know that
That's
price
all right.
is really the, what, you know, you
I'm
wanna
gonna
get
stand
bogged
on the
down.
principles.
Okay.
We want more.
What's your third one?
We want
Third
more
one,
than
the
15,000.
legality of the restricted nature of the sale.
Okay.
Or I don't know how to word that.
Okay, but where's,
Say that again?
where
Your
your
process is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
That's your
You're looking
process.
at the
That's your
process? Where are your open space concerns though? You need to make that case in here.
Honestly, if they well,
I mean,
Okay, so if that's
the
not an
land and
open
the-
space, I'll put that under unanswered questions.
But again, I'd like to put it in that these things should be looked at collectively as on a singular. Because there might
That's
be
a very good
The
point,
public has
Marjorie.
established that intent.
We should, there should be
Because we looked at it as one part, no,
I
honestly,
know,
yeah.
and that's how we do it in inland wetlands, it's like death by a
Yeah,
thousand cuts,
no,
because you're
that's
not looking at the
Right,
whole.
it's
the
a
whole
very
thing.
interesting point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
There should be a,
Cause it's not like there's that many
No,
of these parcels,
No.
it's not hundreds,
No.
we're talking,
No.
what, 10?
we don't know where they're located.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't know where-
No,
Tom
that's a
said there's
very
only
good
two
point.
that they're mowing.
What was that?
There's only two that Tom's mowing.
So is that, I'm gonna ask a question,
Yeah,
like
we're letting you-
is the town like concerned about the $1,000 they spend every year? I mean, the stats are here, right, they're in this thing, it's a
Yeah.
$128 a year, 768, 32
Yes.
hours, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, they are.
So like, it goes to that point of like, So just don't mow it, let it become something natural and whatever, like what's the,
Right, well, I
what's
think
the-
that's
Thank
what
you,
they're-
Phil.
I don't, you know, like,
Discussions. Yeah.
let some wildflowers grow and,
Well,
you
that's
know, and
the
tree, and the
answer.
tree or whatever, and it's just a piece of property that, you know, whatever.
That's easy, I'm the park and rec director, it's easy, I understand what your perspective is on that. It's easy, it would be easy for us to stop mowing, it sure would be. That's when we start getting phone calls about unkept land from people who live in the neighborhood. My kids walk by there, they're getting ticks, whatever. Or the grass grows too high, then becomes a sight line issue because it's that four-way intersection and, you know, are we liable for an accident because we didn't mow it? You know, I was very honest with Susan, this is what, you know, how many hours, this is what it costs. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a ton of money, I mean, it takes time to get, we can't, the guys are taking a mower from Henry James over there to do it so that they don't have to park on the side of the road and drop a tractor and make Owensbrook a one-lane road. I mean, there's a lot of little factors involved. The thought was, from our perspective, this is a piece of thing that we're basically maintaining his lawn. I mean, let's call
That's right.
that's you during the summer months when everything is green, it's hard to tell what's his lawn and what's this piece of
So
property.
he just remediated most of his side yard.
Well, yeah, he took down a bunch of trees and
A
bushes.
bunch of trees and basically like, and I don't know if this is part of what's going on, but last spring, he reseeded his entire yard, put in irrigation for the whole yard, and there is a point where it's hard to tell where his property stops and where
You
that
can now
property
because
may
you can see
start.
where the
You
where
can
the
see
green
where the
line
grass is,
Yeah,
now
where he
whether
might
it's
have
a
fertilized or
concern about, you know, that growing into the property or not, I don't know. Like I said, I never saw the letter that asked to buy it.
I've never seen,
I've
I've
never
never
seen
talked
an
to
email
him, so
about, you know, there's an email apparently about an agreed upon price, how that was derived. I mean, that's one of the things that I would ask is like, how did you get to suddenly like, there's an agreed upon price of $15,000? Like, how did that happen?
That's a good
There's no evidence even of a written ask to do this, much less now there's an email on agreed upon price.
Yeah, that, there's something that goes before the
Yes.
agreed upon price, we don't have that.
Right.
Only the town can.
So I'm just saying that when I know the property was
Well, the
redone
fact that
from
we
a
have an
lawn
agreed upon
perspective.
price, but there's no communication before that. That, you know, we lack the communication that went before, how did you get to an agreed upon price?
So is there a law that someone has to mow their lawn?
I'm sorry,
The
I'm
town-
just not
the town
catching
does have
that
a
point.
right.
Are you talking about
can't
the
get- I think it's a foot.
$15,000?
Yes.
I believe so.
In what way? What?
There's an email that they, from the homeowner said about, we agree to the $15,000.
I read that, it was in the August 12th meeting, which was the only, again,
Correspondence, the negotiation for the price.
there's one email.
Well, all we have to say in our list, our
Back to
half
the
dozen
list.
or more list, is to put that at the end of the list and say, just state that issue.
Just state
it,
that's
but
one of the
let's talk
unanswered
about it.
questions.
Yeah.
That is on our data sheet, it's an unanswered question, so we'll just put that in a grab bag. I agree, that's good.
That's fine,
Yeah.
that's fine. Let it go with that for now. Agreed or not?
Okay.
But Tom, I just as an aside, there are ways of managing that land so it looks attractive without being lawn. I mean, we have this idea that lawn is attractive. But there are things that can be done there that would be low maintenance and attractive. Yeah, I know. It's just bad design.
I'm just,
I know.
I was just
I know.
asked to say how we were maintaining it and what
I
the
know.
cost of it was.
No, I
That's
can,
all,
I
it's-
mean, mowing
That's
is
right.
I'll leave
easy,
it at that.
but not necessarily best. And it's part of our education for the town, yeah, I know, and you're caught between the,
rock and a hard place.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
Or the grass and the.
grass and the curb.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I go to my Christmas party or should I stay?
You can go to the, you
So-
can go to
Are
the
you going to
Christmas
the
party.
You should- you
So do you
should-
wanna look at this and see if you have any
can't-
beefs?
You can't vote on it.
So here's the thing,
Yeah, you can vote, she can vote. She's a member.
I am a member. I keep saying I'm in a very
I don't know
weird
how you
spot
can do
because
that.
I am going to vote on it on maybe, unless I pull it, which I'm considering, till we get all the answers. But
I'm
we-
not
we-
voting.
We also wanna know, again, do we wanna just, again,
But
do we wanna just?
I just don't feel I can vote.
well, you can
You know
vote
what I
on the
mean?
process, I mean,
Huh?
you were
Yeah, I wanna
specifically
abstain.
told
So I'm
you
gonna
wanted to do
abstain.
this.
Okay,
Well,
okay,
I
that's
don't,
fine.
I
Is
don't
that
have a
fair?
problem with
Yeah,
the
I'm fine with that.
process with
Do you
the
wanna, if
planning
you wanna go to your
commission.
party, do
I'm
you wanna
fine
look
with
at
it. What
these
I don't
things
like
and see if you have
is
any
the
beefs?
process on how they came about, the price and you know what I mean, that's what, yeah.
Karen, are you still on the line?
Rationale.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, I just wanted to double check, cause if they're gonna vote, I just wanted to see who was here.
How many
No.
members are there of this
Thank
committee?
you.
No,
Well,
I
you,
think I'm
did
just
you say the
whoa,
value
whoa.
to the public versus the
So you need
return
four.
to the town? You know
So
what I'm
you
saying,
need-
like you
okay,
brought
so
up
you need
price,
four.
but
To be able to.
the
okay.
value to the public
I'll
You can
I'll
of selling
abstain.
it is
You're
more
here.
that you're
Hello, may I-
missing out
Wendy,
on.
may
I'll
I
abstain.
have
The
a chance
land
to
worth
speak?
15 grand.
Yes, Helen.
Aaron, Aaron, was that you talking about how to vote and so forth?
No, I'm
As
abstaining.
a planning
Town
commission,
database.
I'm gonna
Available
abstain.
Alternatives, I don't know what that means.
I'm
you
abstaining.
abstain. Okay, all right. I was gonna comment
No,
one step away, and that
What does that have
is,
to do with the
you,
database?
as a planning commission member, did not, at the time that you were asked to deal with this, at that time, it was 8/24, you were not privy to the due diligence that the Open Space Committee is supposed to be doing for these matters, so that you, or for instance, the Conservation Commission or the Culture Parks and Rec, when they are going to deliberate amongst them, as a group, they would have, if the process had been done correctly, you would have had the due diligence, and it would have been fairly complete in order to deal, to know how to talk about this whole deal. So that was you as a planning commission member. Now you're talking in a group of the vote with, as a member of the Open Space Committee, and it is not, in my thinking, at all wrong for you to vote your conscience, because now you've learned more.
Well,
Now, as
Helen,
you're talking.
I'm abstaining.
sorry?
I'm abstaining. I'm just abstaining, cause
Okay.
I don't think,
I'm
not sure that we would have gotten all, anyway, there's just so much wrong with this, I'm abstaining. I've made, as an elected official, have made a decision with my fellow, as chair, I'm not gonna vote, take another vote that would counteract the vote I took months ago.
But you just made a statement, Aaron, that is very powerful, and it should be shared with the Board of Selectmen.
Well,
There is so much wrong with this. How do you go about
yeah, so,
letting
and I'm
them know
fine with
that?
that, but as Tom just pointed
If
out,
you
I've
abstain.
had input into the letter, but I'm abstaining. I don't wanna talk about, it's my choice, but yeah,
Okay,
but I appreciate that, Helen, thank you.
So I do agree with what you're putting in this letter, some of it though, I don't agree with all of it.
Okay.
So that's why I would abstain, like some of the reasons are my reasons at a Board of Selectmen level, you get that, right, Tom?
Yeah.
And some are not,
Absolutely.
so that's why I wanna address my stuff that's on there.
You're gonna have your, you're gonna.
Yeah, if it's there, if it comes back.
You have, so you have 4 people who will vote.
Okay, so
you
two
might as well
people
do
are
that.
abstaining.
Okay.
So let me start from the top. Okay, here's the letter. At the December 4th meeting, the Open Space Committee voted against disposition of town-owned open space, I'll put in the details, for the following reasons. We hope the Board of Selectmen will consider these issues. I also wanna say, we also support the letter from the Conservation Commission, which has a lot more detail. So here's the reasons. The rationale for selling the land is not compelling. And that's just a general open space disposition issue. If you look at our open space stewardship policy from 2016, it says that the Open Space Committee is in general not in favor of disposition, does not initiate disposition, in general should consider it thoroughly. So this is not a committee that's gonna be like, yes, we're looking to dispose of open space.
Okay.
So that's number one.
Can you put that in a paragraph
I'll put
under
that in.
number
I'll
one?
add that, okay.
Yeah, just add a little
I'll add a little
content
bit,
for each one.
okay. Number two, the overall value to the public of selling it as proposed is not compelling. Number three, the lack of consideration of town databases and viable alternatives precludes full review. Number four, the potential for this property to contribute to overall town goals has not been thoroughly discussed.
By
Use the word again, compelling or something. Use it again. Anytime you see that word compelling, you add it up.
By who, Sue, though?
Well, so to contribute to overall town goals, I mean, I
we
was.
did talk about overall, the planning commission did, I mean, some of them. And so I think conservation probably did too.
Conservation said that it hasn't been, the viable alternatives hasn't been discussed. There was a lot in their letter.
No, not the alternatives, you said.
Contribute to overall town goals, like the pollinator pathway or a small house or renewable energy or we said a whole bunch of things.
I would be
None of those
specific.
have been discussed. Okay, I've written those previously, but I can write it again and they're written in here. There's a whole bunch written in here. This is like a cover letter for this.
Then
Okay.
don't, you know
Okay.
what?
Oh, so the thing will be attached to
No,
it.
then don't be
Okay.
wordy in
Got it.
this.
Just say, make sure you just say refer to the attached.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
For details
Thank
on
you.
these questions.
Cause you don't wanna, you don't,
Thank you.
yes, you
Okay.
don't wanna repeat.
I could even refer them to what question to
I have
refer
that,
to.
I
Yeah.
printed it,
That
thank
would
you.
be
Okay.
Yep, nope,
Okay.
appreciate that.
On the
Sorry, Sue, I didn't.
there are, no, I appreciate that. There are remaining unanswered questions. And then I put unclear how this transpired, unclear how price was negotiated, unclear if it should be offered to the public.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you have somebody here that
Not
we
if
might
it should,
consider.
if it was offered, like, right, if it should or was offered to
Should
the
was, yeah.
public.
Okay. Any other things?
And we put in the, an individual sale of open space should be viewed in context with the other open space.
Yeah, I
I
like
think
that.
that's a good, that's an important piece, Marjorie, when you're not talking that many, because you're right, I will say we were myopic,
Yes,
right? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this one thing. And then after we're like, oh, well,
You
there's a
zoom out.
plan for, well, no, but, oh, there's a plan for more, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, like,
Yeah,
you know, it's like you get information in dribs and drabs, yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Any other things?
I just wanna say one thing,
That's
Susan,
good.
regarding number 2.
Yeah.
I'm glad the conversation around putting the word value in there, value to the public, was important and correct. But I'm also glad in your other issues that you keep that strange number of $15,000 in there, because that's one of the most confusing parts of this in my mind. And I know we've discussed it over and over. I'm just saying, I think you have a good list.
Okay.
And speaking of value to the public, is that the only consideration?
Well, we were using the
Say
word
that one again, I
value
wanna hear
as a
that.
broad term
Yeah,
than
but
just the
it
money.
says to the public. See.
Oh, value to value.
As opposed to the habitat or something.
Well, I consider that a value to the public,
I do too,
but
but not
I,
everybody does.
yeah.
We could expand on that and just add.
I like that, Marjorie.
I think, don't forget, I think you don't wanna get too much in the weeds.
No,
Oh,
I
pardon
was
the
saying-
pun, right? Been in the weeds, so.
They're not weeds.
They're weeds, they're invasives, no, so.
I know, but I'm just saying, but
Because you're describing what you're do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
I
think
do.
they'll get,
I do.
yeah.
Why don't we use the term like well-being? The overall value to the well-being of the community is not compelling, something like that.
Well, benefit, what about the benefit to the community?
Benefit, yeah.
Well, value and benefit are the same, but you can make it sound like, I said value instead of price, that was because is the price to value worth it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're going into the benefit
Yeah.
of just the land in general staying open to the community.
Or have other possible uses, yes.
But there won't be other uses, unless again, I don't see.
No, I mean habitat uses.
Yeah, but I don't see
Yeah.
anybody, you know,
No, I know.
it's gonna just stay the way it is
No.
my opinion.
Okay,
It
how
can be
about if I,
managed differently.
the overall benefit to the community is not compelling. Overall benefit of the disposition to the community.
Yeah. And community can involve a lot of different things other than.
Read that again, Sue? I don't,
I'm trying to,
I didn't like that.
the overall benefit of this land I just put the overall benefit to the community is not compelling.
Yeah. I think that's.
Okay.
Leave it there because you look at, you have within the form itself,
That's
some
right.
of those points.
That's
So
Yeah.
that's good, just leave it at that.
Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, lack of consideration of town databases and viable alternatives precludes full review.
So most people will read that and not understand it like I just didn't
Yeah.
understand it. So if you could explain that it's been somehow that it's been found
Was that
to be
precluded?
shown as whatever you're saying it's shown as in those zones, it is in these environmental zones.
Well, you're saying it wasn't reviewed, that's what you're trying to say.
But she's
there.
saying it is in there, but it wasn't.
It wasn't reviewed.
Yeah.
Okay, how about if I say this, town databases and viable alternatives have not been fully considered.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, the potential for this property to contribute to overall town goals has not been thoroughly discussed. I could say not been thoroughly considered.
What does that mean?
Well, the overall town goals, like the pollinator pathway is a thing, like small homeowner owned housing is a small thing. Renewable energy is a thing, ecological stuff is a thing, all of those
Should you
things
say
we have
present
not
and
fully
future?
reviewed.
But is that a town goal or is it like,
It's not.
Yes, those are the goals in the POCD.
yeah, I mean, we did
But if you look
discuss
at,
the
if you look at our
POCD,
open
but-
space goals, we're well, aren't we over, we're at 30-something percent.
It's not, yeah, I don't think we
We don't have a
I'm just
goal.
saying,
Yeah, I don't,
And this
well,
is,
and-
this isn't,
Okay.
this
I'm
isn't
not saying
taking, this
anymore.
is taking away rather than adding to.
That's what
Right.
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I think you've made your compelling case.
I do too.
I think
You're not,
with the supporting documents, I
Yeah.
think with the letter from
Exactly.
conservation and.
Okay,
we've got-
hopefully
I think
make
we've got a
everybody
lot of-
read
Okay, you want me to scratch that one or leave it?
No, leave it.
Okay,
Don't-
and then what
don't
about the
vote.
remaining unanswered questions?
you have to vote because Tom has to leave.
Okay,
and I
sorry.
have to leave too.
Unanswered questions, how did it transpire, how's it negotiated, how, if it should or was offered to the public, and it should be assessed with respect to other open space. Okay,
Can I ask a question though? Is that within the purview of open space to be, I know, see that, I don't think it is. And so I think
Which part, which,
you can
all of
state your
those things you
opinion.
just
Yeah,
said,
I mean, it's gonna be up to
the selectmen.
well, these are all on our
to
data
say,
form.
Take
They're
it.
the same questions that
but
some
I
of
don't
us have
think the
asked.
open
Just so-
space should be commenting on what you just said. I think it's outside the purview of the committee, is what I'm saying.
Well, considering that we have in our committee.
It's just something to think about.
We have in our committee, we have conservation, we have planning, we have parks
Yeah,
and
that's
rec,
why
we
it's
have-
all combined.
I mean, it's all combined, this is the only chance we have as a group to say, well, look, we haven't considered everything. Because
But
this
is it-
the only.
No,
group
and
we
I'm
have.
not disagreeing with, I just don't know if it's within the purview of this committee. That's all I'm saying, but
Well, considering all our different purviews,
We have a big
we
curve.
have a big purview.
but
bring
it's unclear
Which one?
how the price was negotiated. That's not open I don't think you should be putting that in.
Okay, I'll just take that out. I'll say how unclear how this transpired. How about
Yeah,
that?
well, that would be because that is specifically related to open space.
Although disposition of open space is in our purview.
No, see, I
Absolutely.
think,
Yes.
no, exactly, but I
Agreed.
don't think the agreed and negotiated price,
Well, we-
it's not.
You
How-
just
the
talked
money's
about
coming to
that,
us.
how it was
No,
determined.
The money's coming to us, that's why we
It
share
should.
The Board of
Right.
Selectmen would
I don't know.
ask you about if the Board of Selectmen asked you about the interest in acquiring a piece of land, it's not asking you about the price,
That's
to
right.
consider the price of that land. That's for the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to determine that. It's the same thing in reverse. You can comment on whether you think the town should sell it, but I don't think you really have the purview to say, we don't think you should sell for 15.
Right.
Although if we're the ones
But
that are
it's almost
receiving-
hypocritical if they were offering 60.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I
but
think
if
that's
you
not yours,
look
that's up
at
to
it,
them to
it's up
decide
to
that.
them.
You're-
I would
you're-
take that
If
out,
we're the
but
one receiving 15,000.
No, but you're making a great case from
Yes.
this.
I'm willing to
committee's
delete that point. I already
Yeah.
deleted it.
I just, it's just my
I think
opinion, I'm
you
not
wanna focus
voting.
more on what is the process for selling or unloading open space in general.
I wanna understand
There is
why.
not a clear,
and which is what you say,
Clear
which is
why.
very good, exactly, so that's your point. I wouldn't worry about what's negotiated in the
Exactly.
price.
Exactly.
This
I
is, and
deleted
then,
it.
yeah, no, but I think it makes your point even stronger,
Okay, so,
honestly.
okay, sorry.
Okay, so
You
what
have an
about
open question about the legality, I mean, it's
Right, that's,
Yeah.
that's,
item,
you can put
item
that in.
3.
That you have a, you have
We
a-
do,
Right.
again, I'm waiting for that answer.
Good luck.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't forget to vote.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for a vote on the letter that is in progress but will be done.
Well, I think you're voting to make a
Negative
consensus,
referral.
or not recommend, basically take the wording that's on the town
Oh, is it on here?
yeah, I would use.
Maybe
You're
you should
basically
be
right
the
here.
chair.
But, you know, the committee does not recommend the sale and disposition of the remnant parcel.
Okay.
That's what you were asked to do, that's what you should vote on negatively.
Okay, so
And then you
let's-
say, please refer to the attached letter.
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
So I move that we
Yeah.
do not support the disposition of this particular property.
Okay, is there a second?
second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor of that say aye.
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 Karen?
Karen.
To not recommend the sale of the parcel.
Conversation, it is not clear to me what we're voting on.
We're voting on the list, Helen.
And we're voting to say that we do not agree with the disposition of
Yes.
this property.
So, yes, you wanna vote yes, and so does Karen, because that's what you guys have been saying all along.
In all of that conversation, did you change any of your points? That's what I'm asking first.
No.
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 Okay, thank you.
So
Are
the
you-
vote on the table is to
vote.
not recommend the sale of the parcel, not to tell the Board of Selectmen this committee does not recommend the sale of the parcel at this time.
Yes, that's what I want.
Okay, so
Okay, Helen, are you
That's fine.
no, are you voting yet?
I know, but I was listening to all of the back and forth, and that's what it was, a lot of, and so I was trying very hard not to miss the good point. So I think you left it, as long as you didn't change any of the points, I can vote.
Okay, so
what's your vote?
What's your vote?
Yes.
okay, is there anybody against? And there any abstentions?
So we have
Yes,
two
okay,
abstentions.
okay.
Okay.
I hope that doesn't reflect poorly on me with the commission. Can I ask for a motion to
No,
adjourn?
it's hard, I don't think you had a
No,
choice.
is there other business? There better not be, cause
Are you going to the historical study?
no, I didn't know it's at the historical, so I'm going to Northwest Community Bank.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, second,
What's going on?
Second.
all those
We're
in favor,
adjourning,
say
Helen.
aye,
Aye.
aye on the phone,
Aye.
okay, we've adjourned.
To adjourn?